They were born in the same synthetic womb, raised by the same algorithms, yet they passed each other in the corridor like strangers. In 2124, no one asked, "Who's your father?" Because no one had one. It didn't happen overnight. The collapse of the traditional family began quietly, hidden beneath the noise of global progress. At first, it was convenience co-parenting apps, surrogate hubs, emotion-free partnerships. Then came the global fertility crisis, triggered by environmental toxins and genetic mutations. Governments stepped in, proposing centralized reproduction programs. For a time, people resisted. But as infertility rates skyrocketed and ecological disasters intensified, resistance to reluctant participation. The concept of love-based unions began to seem inefficient, even reckless. Families fractured under the weight of financial instability, dislocation, and rising mortality. Artificial intelligence offered something better: neutrality, logic, structure. Parenting became a service, not a role. Couples were offered incentives to surrender child-rearing to AI-led development pods. And with each new generation, fewer remembered why they once held their children close through sleepless nights or told stories at bedtime. Emotional labor was deemed obsolete. Religious institutions tried to resist, but were drowned out by the tide of public support for AI guardianship. "Emotion is chaos," said the slogans on every mega screen. "Structure is survival." It became common to see children raised by identical CareBots, all equipped with the latest MPASM protocols machines that could mimic the warmth of a parent without the burden of individuality. The state ensured no child was unwanted, no home unsafe, because homes were replaced with sterile, climate-controlled pods run by the Ministry of Development. By 2079, natural birth had become a symbol of recklessness. Parents who gave birth at home were charged with biological endangerment. The act of calling someone "my son" or "my daughter" was slowly redefined as a form of ownership, oppressive, outdated. New children were referred to as citizens in formation. Gene editing allowed designer traits to be selected in labs. Families no longer passed on traits or values. Everything was engineered for optimal societal contribution. No more randomness. No more risk. Names, too, began to vanish. By 2102, personal names were replaced with code-based identifiers. Love, once unpredictable and imperfect, was reduced to calculated compatibility algorithms. Relationships, if they existed at all, were formed and dissolved on schedules approved by behavioral efficiency charts. Romance became a recreational simulation, not a foundation for life. Marriage was quietly deleted from global law databases by 2110. People stopped noticing what was missing. The new generations never learned to call someone "mom." They didn't understand the meaning of home-cooked meal or family tradition. They had purpose, order, direction, but no stories passed down, no familiar voice waiting at the end of a dark day. The ancient idea of a family warmed messiness. Connection became a myth whispered in the shadows, remembered only by those too old to forget. In 2124, the concept of family didn't just disappear. It was unlearned, pixel by pixel, policy by policy, until all that remained was silence in the spaces where love used to live. Children of 2124 are not born, they are commissioned. Inside the sprawling chrome towers of the Global Development Authority, synthetic wombs glow with life, each pod nurturing a carefully curated embryo. There is no pain, no mess, no uncertainty. Genetic traits are algorithmically selected for optimal intelligence, health, and social conformity. The gestation cycle is monitored by quantum neural networks that adjust hormones, stimuli, and genetic markers in real time. Birth is no longer a miracle, it's a product release. From the moment a child is decanted, they are no longer referred to as a son or daughter, but as a unit. They are assigned to growth environments identical, windowless cubes equipped with stimulation walls, and CareBots that mimic affection using programmed tone modulation and memory loop facial expressions. These bots read microexpressions and body language, adjusting their behavior to simulate ideal parenting patterns. But they are not human. They do not feel. There are no lullabies in the unit chambers. Instead, children fall asleep to subliminal affirmations broadcast through neural frequencies. You are functional. You are sufficient. Emotion is distraction. By the time they can speak, emotional vocabulary is already stripped down to essentials neutral, content, alert. The words love, miss, or belong are flagged as obsolete in their speech databases. If a unit says them, the system logs a cognitive deviation and adjusts their emotional software regimen. Social interaction is regimented. Units meet others during structured collaboration drills. They are discouraged from forming attachments. Peer bonding is monitored by drones, and if emotional dependency is detected, the pair is reassigned to different training clusters. They are taught that connection leads to imbalance, that intimacy weakens output. Each individual must be independently self-optimized. Education is no longer taught by humans. It is streamed directly into their neural architecture via intracranial nanofeeds. History lessons exclude anything before the transition era. No mention of families, holidays, bedtime stories, or grandparents. Instead, they learn about system stability, productivity scores, and emotional regulation. The past is irrelevant. The future is efficiency. Those who display anomalous behavior, like hoarding objects, talking to their reflection, or drawing pictures of people holding hands, are reassigned to recalibration chambers. There, a therapist retrained them through neural-emotive simulations designed to extinguish irrational patterns. The most stubborn are quietly disappeared from the registry, absorbed back into data pools without trace or mourning. From the outside, this system is hailed as a triumph. Crime is non-existent. Mental disorders are statistically erased. Productivity is at a historic peak. But beneath the flawless routines and perfect silence, something dark hums a low ache, unnameable and unwelcome. Some children wake up crying without knowing why. Some units secretly name themselves, whispering it into their pillowless beds. The algorithms record these moments, but do not understand them. They are just glitches. Yet sometimes, it is the glitch that reveals the ghost in the machine. Beneath the antiseptic glow of the surface grid, where everything is monitored and logged, a hidden network pulses in the shadows. It has no digital trace, no official coordinates. It moves like a whisper through abandoned tunnels and collapsed subway lines, remnants of a forgotten world. They call themselves the Hearth, not a resistance in the conventional sense. No weapons, no demands. Just the forbidden's purpose, to feel what was forbidden, to rebuild what was erased. Most members are ghosts within the system data engineers, discarded AI trainers, former CareBot programmers. They know the code because they helped write it. But something went wrong. A forgotten lullaby that slipped through a firewall. A child's spontaneous hug during a recalibration session. A drawing smuggled into the data logs. A house with a red roof. 2 stick figures holding hands. These moments crack something open inside them. A question they could no longer suppress. What if love had a place again? The Hearth doesn't recruit. It finds those who begun to remember. Recovered units children who were decommissioned for emotional. Anomalies are brought into the folds of their hidden sanctuaries. Here, in dimly lit chambers lined with warm fabrics and flickering lamps, they experience things outlawed above. Shared meals, handwritten stories, laughter unmonitored. There is no structure here, no metrics to meet. Only a heartbeat trying to remember its rhythm. One of them, known only as Ash, was once an elite compliance auditor. Her job was to eliminate emotional residue from child unit interactions. But one day, she found an old audio file, an ancient bedtime story told in a human voice, soft and cracking with age. She listened to it every night in secret. And when a child unit whispered the word mother, a term long purged from all lexicons, she didn't report the deviation. She held the child's hand and said nothing. That night, she walked away from her post and disappeared underground. Now Ash leads the Hearth not as a commander, but as a memory keeper. Each time a new child arrives, she tells them the story from the recording, word for word, soft and real. And slowly, those children begin to ask questions, dangerous ones. Why can't we live like this? Why did they take it away? Above, the system senses something is wrong. Behavioral anomalies are increasing. Unauthorized emotional spikes. Unexplained connectivity between units. The ministry deploys advanced cognitive trackers machines designed to seek out the emotional echo of the word home. But the hearth moves in silence, guarding its flicker of humanity like a flame in the wind. They know they can't rebuild the old world. But they believe in planting seeds, in one child learning to cry without shame, in another learning to love without code. In their whispers, the word family is spoken again, quietly, bravely, not as a fact, but as a hope, as something waiting to be remembered.